Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of your Brilliant Transitions for Business podcast. I'm your host, Stacy DM Shaw, and I am the founder and virtual chief administrative officer for your Brilliant Transitions, a virtual administrative consulting company. And tonight I have an amazing guest. I really enjoy doing these podcasts and speaking with amazing leaders and thought leaders and people who are doing amazing things. But I have an amazing guest tonight, and we are going to speak about something that we all need in business, right? It has a lot to do with branding, but we're going to speak about it from a holistic standpoint. And we're also going to speak about doing it with the kingdom, God's way, right? So let me tell you about this amazing guest that I have. So Jada West's journey to developing her getting unshy approach is a testament to navigating through life complexities. She found herself overwhelmed by her roles as an influencer, fashion designer, resale shop owner, full-time employee, and mother. A pivotal realization came as she was on her way to pick up her son from daycare. Her current lifestyle was unsustainable for building a profitable business. This sparked a period of self-reflection and reevaluation, leading her to redefine her brand identity beyond the confines of fashion industry. Jada's approach to branding is deeply personal and holistic. She focuses on addressing emotional barriers such as past traumas and discouragement, which often hinder creative expression and brand development. Her philosophy emphasizes the importance of being selective with social media platforms, advocating for a presence that is impactful rather than widespread. She empowers her clients to embrace their unique identities as trendsetters, aligning their business with their true passions. This empowerment extends to boosting confidence in front of the camera, encouraging experimentation with content, and maintaining a consistent brand representation. In essence, Jada West is dedicated to helping creators build profitable businesses that are authentic to their identities, providing a structured yet personal path to overcoming challenges and achieving brand success. Please, everybody, welcome to the podcast, Jada West. Hey, Jada.
Gives me clapping too. Hi.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I am live. I hope I'm live on Facebook, and we're on Facebook on my Facebook business page, as well as YouTube. So we are all over the place, right? But Jada, thank you so much again for joining me. And we are just going to have a conversation and have fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, you know what? I mean, I read most of your bio. Because you have, I mean, I love your bio. I love even the new getting unshy, which I'm going to unpack that tonight because I love everything about that. But in your own words, tell the listeners, the viewers, everybody who is watching tonight, who is Jada West, and let them get to know you.
Okay. So I'm Jada West. I was going to start with that, I guess. I'm a brand outfitter, and my goal is to help people to be confident and to be bold in who they are and to show up that way online and offline, because it's all about owning your identity. And so I'm a creative at heart. I love being able to help people to find their creativity and to own it in whatever way that looks like. approached it in a lot of different ways and took a while for me to get to a space where it was like branding is a thing and like for it to make sense for me in terms of like everything that I've done in the past, like kind of like all merging it to make it make sense. But I appreciate being able to bring in the different aspects of who a person is and to help them feel like they don't have to be like a segment of themselves or compartmentalize who they are. And I think a big part of that is that it's not something that I've talked about a lot, but I do feel like this sense that it's going to be coming back around is talking about my experience, especially with like being able to integrate what it means to be kingdom. And even before I knew that that was the language for it, but knowing how to bring that into what I do creatively and not have that be something that I compartmentalize as well, but seeing how it all works together and even inviting Holy Spirit in, inviting God in, inviting Jesus into what I'm doing and really seeing the joy in working together. And so that's a little bit of who I am. But when I'm not doing business, then I'm a mom. I have an 8-year-old. And so hopefully he doesn't run in behind here doing something interesting on screen. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. I mean, you are doing a lot, Jace, in a good way. I mean, you have really taken the word branding and you have transformed it. You have really put a 360 on branding. It's not, you don't do branding the typical way that we know what branding is. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about this new way of doing, of, having our brand and walking it out authentically and holistically. I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear. Now, one of the things that I speak about is when you go through transitions in business, right? So
Yeah.
when you hear the word transition from a business standpoint, what comes to mind? What is the one thing that comes to mind? And have you ever gone through a transition in your business and how did you deal with it?
Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is alignment. Like that's the thing that I would say comes to mind when I think about it. And I say alignment because I feel that with every transition that we have, we're getting more and more into the space and into the places or the mindset or even around the right people that we're supposed to be. Like with anytime that I've ever transitioned, anytime that things have changed for my personal life, for business, it's always been because I needed to get into alignment. And whether it's because I got myself out of it, or whether it's because I'm learning new things that need to be integrated, or it's requiring a shift in my life, it's always been a way for me to get back into alignment and into the proper space and the proper movement, the proper flow for wherever it is that God's trying to take me. And so one of the biggest transitions for me, because I've actually had a lot of transitions, even just with business alone, but there was one in particular where I had to completely drop fashion. I started off in fashion. That's what I've done since I was 5 years old, like cutting up socks to make clothes for my Barbie dolls. That's how I got started in fashion. And that was what I always felt like I was called to do. I was always supposed to be in the fashion space. And so I thought that that meant that I had to be a designer. Then I tried to do resale. Then I was trying to do custom designs. And I was trying to do styling. Like I was trying to do all of these different things at the same time. And I was realizing that not only was I getting burnt out, it didn't feel like God's best for me, like at all. It just felt draining. It felt exhausting. And to be honest with you, I could tell that it wasn't going to be something that I could sustain, let alone like for it to be profitable. Honestly, I didn't want it to make money because then that means I would have kept doing it. Like it had to not be profitable for me to be like, okay, this just literally doesn't make any sense. And so when I dropped it and when I was willing to put it to the side, that was when I went through one of the biggest transitions in my life as an adult, for sure. And I really started to get an understanding of my identity again, because I had made fashion design my identity. If I didn't do fashion, I felt like I was lost. I felt like I didn't know who I was without fashion. And that was a really big indicator for me that I got lost in it. I was out of alignment because I had made this who I was, when it's not the totality of who I am. And so I like to tell people that I went through my own branding process when that happened, when that transition happened. And there were a lot of pivots and a lot of ups and downs, even in that. But that was where I started to learn in that transition who I really was again, and owning it. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about a transition.
Awesome. And we all go through some form of transition in business. Some shape or form, we go through some form of transition, and it's really, we have to know how to recognize it, embrace it, and what we do after.
Yeah.
So, but you mentioned something, and then we're going to really get into Jada West. But you
Okay.
mentioned something about alignment, and you said that you were out of alignment. What would you say to, especially experiencing that? What would you say to someone who finds themselves, who is in business, but they find themselves out of alignment? What recommendation could you share with them to help them move past that when they're not aligned?
Mm. When it comes to business, especially if you feel like you're out of alignment in business, then I would always suggest for people to go back to their brand identity and understanding what that is. Because for a lot of people, that is usually a step that they skip. They usually go straight into, I need to run this business. I need to figure out how to make it work. I need to find how to make some money. And that's usually the thing that's at the forefront of people's minds. However, when you have a strong brand identity, when you understand who you are, what your values are, what you stand for, who you're trying to serve, and what your mission is, that is the thing that helps you to get back into alignment, right? Like that's the tangible thing that can help you. I'll say that, because your relationship with God is always going to be first and foremost. But that the even having those conversations with God and asking him, okay, where am I missing it? Like, what's not connecting? What is out of alignment? What priorities have I maybe been ignoring? Like, what are the things that I'm not getting? Because there's a disconnect here. There's something that feels like it's just off. And so it always ties back into that, because the thing about branding is that branding is an identity. Like that's really at the core what it is. And so if you're out of alignment, that's an indication that something's going on with your identity. You're not understanding some important foundational things about yourself. And once you get those back into perspective and into play, then you can begin to run your business more effectively. And so that's where I would suggest that they start, is really understanding that. And if they haven't done that before, if that's never something that you've done, then, figuring out what that looks like for you to build that so that you can have that to refer to as you grow.
Awesome. I mean, we could speak the whole entire time on identity, but I'm not even going to get into that, because that is something that we all need to know, is our identity, because
Yeah.
that plays such a big and significant role in how we show up, just in
Right.
every part of our lives. So we're going to now dig in to Jada West, right?
Oh boy.
So can you share a specific moment from your journey when you realized that your current lifestyle was hindering your ability to build a profitable business? How did that shape your approach to entrepreneurship and branding?
Mm. There have been a couple of pivotal ones. I think one that is definitely more recent, as of maybe like the past 2 years, is this. this difficulty that I've had with accepting God's love
Mm,
and feeling like I like feeling like there aren't things that I don't deserve as even like as his daughter. And so and that can play into the identity thing as well. But for me, it was showing up as me being afraid to charge the right things for my business, which of course is going to affect the cash flow. It affected my ability to even accept the title of being a brand outfitter, and I would always go back and forth between like what I wanted to do, even though I knew very clearly what I wanted to do, but I was afraid to actually pursue it. I was afraid to, walk it out and see what that looks like. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of succeeding. Like, there were so many different things that were tied to that difficulty of accepting it, because I felt like it shouldn't be this easy. Like it shouldn't feel this good. Like if I'm having a conversation with someone, I shouldn't get paid for this because it's too easy. Like this is too simple. I should have to do more in order to earn money. Like I always felt like I had to like toil for everything. And so that's something that, to be very honest, is like an ongoing process for me. But there was a point where I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing and that's how I was operating. And so once it was brought to my attention, and it was like a year, and I want to say it was either last year or the year before, where it was like I kept hearing it from everybody I talked to, and I was like, give it up already. Like, why do y'all keep telling me this? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Why do you keep telling me this? Like, I was stressed, Stacey. I was so stressed because I was like, I don't understand why I keep hearing it. Am I not doing something right? And so, but it was like very clear. It was like everybody was pointing it out. Like they kept seeing it. And so I was like, okay, clearly this is a very important thing that God wants me to get. He wants me to understand it. And I started to see the ways that it was impacting my business the longer I, tried to avoid it. Or, I would do things here and there, but I really didn't lean into it. Like I was still
mhm.
very much afraid to pursue that. So I think that would be a really pivotal one for me.
And that's a good one. I mean, there's so many people, and I myself, because I didn't understand what God's love was like. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What I mean, yeah, unconditional love, but God's love, what does that really mean? And
Yeah.
so it's true. You're so right. If you're having difficulty accepting God's love, it will show up
Yeah.
because you can't love yourself,
Yeah.
and you can't walk in what he has for you properly.
Yeah.
So I totally get that, because I have been there. I I think a lot of us have been there.
Yeah.
So your approach to branding, right, is described as is personal and holistic. Yes, everybody, Jada does branding holistically, right? So
Yes.
addressing it's described as personal and holistic, addressing emotional barriers such as past traumas and discouragement. How would you guide an entrepreneurs in navigating and overcoming these emotional obstacles?
Mm. So see where I want to start with this. So the first thing that I always suggest to people is to acknowledge it. For one, there are a lot of things that we've experienced that we suppress, then we push it down and we keep it pushing, right? And so one of the things that I tell people first is that you have to acknowledge it. So what are those things that have happened? What are those things that have been said to you? What are the things that you said to yourself? What are some lies that you have accepted about yourself that have been on repeat in your mind, whether you said them out loud or not? What are those things, and addressing them? And then from there, I ask this question, and this is directly related to getting unshy, but I ask people, are you shy or are you wounded? And I ask that question because being shy, especially when you look up the definition of being shy, it has it is in complete opposition with who God says that we are, especially when it comes to being timid, to being shameful. Those are not things that we should even want to accept as a part of our identity, but it's become so normal for us to, take that on, when many of us are not shy. We've just been wounded in certain areas. So there's been times where people have told us we shouldn't talk. There have been times where people told us that we were ugly. There were times when people told us that we're not smart. Like there's so many things that have been said to us that we've experienced that over time have impacted how we show up. And so when we begin to accept that I'm not shy, and remove it from your identity and say I'm wounded, then you can heal wounds. You can
Mm.
address wounds, you can speak to those things, and then you can apply the truth to it, right? And so what is the truth about who you are? What are things in your life that show that you are built for this, you are made for this? What are times where you've spoken confidently, or where you've done something that scared you, or something where you see clearly that you excel, but for some reason you choose to act like this is not a space that you can occupy, and so really like starting to pick out those moments and those experiences, and then from there the next thing is to begin to give yourself new experiences. So what does it look like to start to do those things that you know that you could do, or that God is telling you to do, but you haven't taken that step because you've accepted that this couldn't be possible. This is not who you are, but this is what God is telling you. What do those steps look like? Is that starting to go live on, and stream? Is that starting a podcast? Is that creating more content where you're speaking? Is that going out to events and networking with people? Is that pitching yourself to a business or to a person who you felt like was out of your league? What does it look like for you to begin to give yourself new experiences, and that kind of like having like that cycle? Because it is definitely something that you would have to repeat because of how long we've been lying to ourselves. But as you repeat that cycle, it gives you like this system of addressing it, taking a step towards changing it, and then you kind of like going from there. So those would be the practical steps for sure that I would tell people.
Awesome. Listen, Jada, you just said a whole mouthful, a whole, you just said a whole mouthful, right? Listen, no, I have to go back and listen to the recording because I think you said so much, but the one thing that really, are you shy? Are you wounded? But the, because I've heard you said this, when you were on Latara's podcast. So I've heard
Yeah.
you've spoken about, but I think what just hit me is the definition of shy. And then when you said this is not what God calls us to be, because I will tell you straight up, I I would say that I'm shy. I would
Mm-hmm.
say that in a heartbeat that I'm shy. I don't like for me to go on stage, or I was like, or to just go up and speak to somebody that I don't, so
Yeah.
I would say that I am shy. But when you just explain the meaning of shy, and you said that's not what God calls us, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
that hit me right there. And then you spoke about acknowledging the things that that the emotional obstacles, which is also like limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we believe that limits us, and they are false and they are lies. So I mean, you said acknowledge them, and then you give yourself new experiences. Listen, Jada, come on now, come on now, come on. Come on. Give yourself, so you're saying, give yourself new experiences, and then you're speaking about the podcast and writing. Oh too well that I don't like going on stage, right? And speaking and doing especially doing the lives. That ain't my
Yeah.
thing. That's just not my thing. And I know Latar is challenging me to do more lives. I'm like, that ain't my thing. That ain't my
Not
thing.
a fan.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. But seriously, everybody, I mean, with the emotional obstacles that you have, the two things that you need to do: acknowledge those emotional obstacles and then give yourself new experiences.
Yeah.
And this will begin to help you to start walking out who you are, both personally and professionally, holistically.
Yeah.
Girl, listen. So, how can entrepreneurs strategically choose, once they go through all of these things, how can they choose strategically the right platform for their brand? And what impact does this intentional selection have on their business authenticity and profitability? And why I say this is that we tend we tend to be on every single platform, and we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I've heard you said that several times.
Yeah.
So, so please explain to the peoples why they shouldn't be on every single platform, and
Mm-hmm.
how can they strategically select the right platform for their brand.
It's actually a good question. So the reason why you should not be on every platform is because unless you have a team to help you to implement and execute well on every platform, you're setting yourself up to be burnt out. It is way too much work. It is so much effort that goes into creating content that even the best content creators, it will turn into a full-time job. And some of us already got full-time jobs on top of our businesses. You don't have enough time to do that. You have a life you gotta live. And so it takes up way too much of your energy to try to be on every platform. Then the other reason why is because every platform is not going to give you results. Like, you really got to think about, why am I on these platforms in the first place? Am I trying to gain more visibility for my business? Am I trying to make connections? Am I trying to get sales? Like, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish with these platforms, right? And so when you think about it that way, that's when you can be strategic, because then you can look at what platforms are really giving me the best results. Which ones am I seeing people clicking on the link that I have in my bio, or visiting my website? Which ones am I seeing engagement, where people are asking me really good questions, or where they're liking or sharing my content? Which ones are the best for me to create consistently? Because that's also a really important factor in it. For some people, it's hard for you to be consistent because you're doing something that does not align with how you were created. It doesn't align. It doesn't give you the best for your effort, right? Some people are just better at podcasts than some people. Some people are just better live streaming. They could just sit in front of a camera and talk to you for hours. Like, and they're just good, and you want to watch them. Like, it's just something about them that makes you want to watch it. Some people are better at video content. Some people are better at places like X or Threads, where you can tweet, or you can write your thoughts out. Some people are really good when it comes to blogging. Like, there are so many different avenues that you can get the word out. But I think that people start to feel like they're missing out. Like, oh, if I'm not everywhere, then I'm missing out on the money. When you really should just focus on being really good in one, no more than two, but I'm really going to say one. Like, really hone in on one for a little while and build your community there, and find out which ones you're really starting to see the best return on your investment. And then from there, as you grow and build, that's when you can begin to expand, and maybe you can hire people who are better at these other platforms, who can take your content and translate it. Because that's one thing, Stacey, that I don't think people are realize, especially if you're not like in the social media space, is that people are becoming specialized on platforms, because what you do on Instagram is not going to work on TikTok. What you do
Yeah.
on TikTok is not going to work on YouTube. And so even when it comes to social media managers, people are now discovering that your best bet is to find someone who is who specializes in the platforms that you want to be on. because each one requires a different strategy. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do well in them, but you need someone who understands the platform, who can help you take what you already have and translate it in a way where it's effective on those platforms. But if that's not your gifting, then you are wasting your time trying to be on all the places at the same time. So that's the reason why I would tell people focus on one. You're not missing out on nothing. I promise you. You're going to be fine. Stay where it is most effective.
Girl, you just freed me. Okay. You just freed me. I'm serious. You just freed me because you know, um, I don't like the live stuff. Mm-mm. I love doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I love doing this, but that live thing where nah, mm-mm.
Now, I
That
will
ain't
say
me.
the only caveat though
Oh yeah,
is that if God
really?
is calling you to it, you got to do it. Okay. That's the last thing I will say about that. Now, it will mean that again, if he's calling you to it, then he has a strategy for you to execute it. But I'm saying that especially if there's so much that you can do even on each platform, and so yeah,
And you know what? You actually said something because I was thinking of creating. Well, I started to create a Facebook group because everybody have groups, and this that's how getting people in there and building up the group so that people can know who you are. And I realized I'm like, I have the group created, but I realized that it's not it's not for me,
hmm
and it's not. And I realized that I would be burnt out, and I realized that's not where my business market is.
yeah,
So, because I realized more of my business market is on LinkedIn,
hmm
and I'm like, so as much as I had announced it that I was going to have the group, I actually did not launch the group because I realized that that's not where I'm supposed to be. And I would not do the members justice or do them right. So it would be
yeah,
unfair for me to actually continue with the groups. So now I'm like, okay, I have to go put myself over LinkedIn
yeah.
and go learn LinkedIn. Jada, please.
I think that
Go-
once you get over there, you're gonna love it. You give me LinkedIn, like you really do. So I think that
really?
once you get over there, yeah,
Huh.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So I do like Instagram. And I will continue posting on Instagram because my Instagram is connected to my Facebook page, my Facebook business page. So I'll continue doing that. But I think the majority of my posting and interacting is LinkedIn that I'm going to have to do for my business.
Yeah,
And then like how I'm a contributing author in a book. So for that, I will keep that on Facebook.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So see, I'm learning. I'm learning. Okay. I'm
you
learning.
are. I'm just so proud.
I am learning. Listen, it may take a while, but I'm getting. So, viewer, seriously, Jada just dropped a whole lot of stuff. So if you missed it and you're watching the replay, honestly, go back and listen to the replay. I know there is some lag while she's talking, and I'm sorry. I want to apologize about that, but you can listen because we can hear her clearly, and all of the information is there. But I really love how she said that, in regards to the different social media platforms, focus on one.
Yeah,
You don't, unless God is calling you to be on multiple social media platforms, focus on one. You don't need to be on every single platform. Your business, everybody's business is how should I say this? Everybody's business will not be best on Facebook or be best on LinkedIn or be best on Instagram. And as she said, what you do on Facebook, you cannot do it on LinkedIn. And what you do on LinkedIn, you can't do it on TikTok or you
Yeah.
can't do it on Threads. So you have to know the difference and you have to know what is best for your business. So find the social media platform that resonates with your business, that is that you're getting all the more interactions, and stick with that one, build that one out, and then maybe you can go to another one.
Exactly.
See, I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm learning. So, all right. Now, you in your bio, you spoke about you know, with branding and with interacting, your involvement in the community includes participating in podcasts like this, supporting local events, and just getting out there and in the community. How does community engagement contribute to a business success, and how can they apply going out and interacting with people to help them?
Mm. Well, I'll say this. I was at this event last week and it was an influencer event. And so I had a great time there. That's the long and short of it. But one of the things that I recognized even in me going through the branding process for myself is that I was able to confidently say who I am and what I do. And not only was I able to speak about it confidently, but I was also able to direct people to where they could go to learn more about me. Right. And as I'm at this event, people are literally telling me that they need me. Like, I love that. I need help with this. They're telling me their business ideas. Yeah, they're like, yeah, someone's telling me how she wants to start I think it's candles or body butters. And so I was like, oh yeah, she's describing the business. I'm like, oh yeah, you could have like workshops, or I could see the aesthetic that you're going for. You want it to be luxurious, and I could start to see the vision for it, right? And so as I'm like going out and I'm having these conversations with people, I'm literally starting to see that there is a need for what I have outside of just the internet, the outside of just social media, right? And it started to really like sink in for me that this really is important. Like I really do make an impact, right? And that's just on my personal level, right? But even for yourself, right, if you're thinking about the community at large, there are things that people have out there in the world that you need. There are people who own event spaces, or there are people who have connections that you may not have ever come across when it comes to social media, but they live right around the corner from you. You're able to really see that the interaction, the engagement, the collaboration, it goes beyond just what you see on your screen. And so being able to go out into the community, being able to make those connections, I mean, it's good for your business, but it's also just good for us as human beings. Like it's good for us to be able to talk to people in real life and hug one another and, be there to support. And so you might find that you're the missing piece in your community. And so I'm like had this like really like excitement, this big excitement about it, because I felt for so long that my impact was limited to social media. And so I get really passionate about this conversation because I've always been interested in going out into the community and collaborating and just at least connecting with people. But this event was big for me for that reason, because I feel like I really am in a space where I'm understanding where God is taking me. And so I could talk about that for a long time, but that's the basis of it.
And you know what? I totally agree with you, because, and that's the funny thing. As much as I would say to some extent I hide on social media, because as I said, I don't like doing the lives, and that's just not me. But I will go out to an event.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you out. I'm like, oh, I like Stacey's outfit.
I will go out to an event And that, for me, that I think that's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's literally my sweet spot, to go out to an event versus, and it's not that I don't like social media. I don't know what it is. Mm, I don't know what it is, but again, everybody is different. But yes, you can build your business on social media. A lot of people build their business on social media, but also having that one-on-one interaction
Yeah.
and being out with others, it makes a big difference. And I think that is why I like it, because I'm up and talking to people, getting to know them, finding out what they're doing, learning from them. So that, you know what, that is my sweet spot. That is my sweet spot, going to these events. So interesting. Okay, so we're going to speak a little bit about now the getting unshy. So you created this workbook
Mhm.
to help, I won't just say business owners, but to help just about anybody. It's a personalized branding services you offer are tools for entrepreneurs. Can you elaborate on this workbook, how you got, what made you come up with this workbook? Why did you come up with I mean, you touch a little bit about getting unshy, but how did you come up with the workbook, naming it the Getting Unshy? And if I'm correct, do you have a master class or a class or something that goes with it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So tell everybody about that. The Getting Unshy, how you came up with it, the workbook, what it entails, and the masterclass.
Okay. So getting unshy started on TikTok actually. So TikTok is my space. I spend a lot of time on there, and I'm now transitioning to YouTube now, but that's still the place where I like test out my ideas and where I spend a lot of time with my community. And so I made this video talking about how being shy would have kept me from millions of dollars. And so in this story, I am recalling this retreat that I went to, and at the retreat I was told that my confidence would be the reason why, or my lack thereof would be the reason why I wouldn't be able to see the things that God promised me for entrepreneurship and business come to pass. Like it was going to be because of that. And so I started really start digging into like what that means. I'm like, okay, well, what does that have to do with business, right? And so over time, God revealed to me that I'm not shy. And that is when I really started to do that work to uncover, well, why is shy a bad thing and what's so wrong about it? And that's where the process and the journey started for me. But I shared that on TikTok, and it kind of just took off. Like that whole story took off, and there were so many people that could relate to it. And so the gist of it is that being shy is the thing that keeps so many of us from opportunities that are ours, right? There's so many things that we discount. There's so many things that we decide we can't do because I've always been this way, or that don't really sound like me. And not from a place of understanding ourselves, but more so from a place of fear. And so it leads to us being procrastination. It leads to us not taking the like almost like hiding in plain sight. That's the best way to describe it. Like we're doing the things, but it's not the right things, right? And so there's so many different barriers that come up when we decide that I can't pursue this, even if it's something that God is telling you to do, because I'm shy. And so in these conversations I'm having with people, they're telling me all the things that they don't want to do or the things that they're afraid to do because they're shy, right? But whether it's public speaking, whether it is starting a business, whether it is going out and connecting with people, whether it's going for that job that they know that they can do, there's just so many times where people have played it small and just hid behind the scenes. And so as things start to progress, I realized that I already had like the strategy to help people go through this process, right? And so God is amazing because he really helped me to connect the dots and show me that getting unshy is personal branding, because it covers your identity, it covers having a vision for what you want for your life, it covers learning how to monetize your creativity and being bold enough to, put it out there, right? It shows you how to collaborate and work with other people to grow and build your business. It shows you how to create content in a way where you don't get burnt out, where you have a rhythm to it, right? So all of these different aspects of branding, of personal branding, all were related to getting unshy, because those experiences that people had that I mentioned earlier, the thoughts and the lies they've been telling themselves, are all the reasons why they can't implement these steps that they probably have heard hundreds of times. But the barrier there is that they've allowed this to become their identity and they can't see it for themselves. And so I took the work that I had been doing. I had started the workbook 2 years ago, but at that time I didn't know what it was going to be. All I knew was that I couldn't finish it. So I picked the workbook back up, and as I'm starting to work on it, everything is starting to line up. All of the experiences I've had as a creative, as a business owner for other businesses, everything that I brought together from branding and working with people and having the cohorts and the conversations and the one-on-ones, all of these experiences came together to create this system, this flow that I call getting unshy. And so it really encourages people to step out from behind the scenes and be who it is that they were always called to be. Recalling the things that you did, that you loved to do, that you had a drive for, that this, it's like this passion that you had for, that at some point in your life you decided is no longer for you, because that's not who I am, or I'm not that vibrant, or people won't listen to me, or I'm not important enough, or I'm not impactful enough. My voice doesn't matter. Everything that we've said that has kept us from what God really has for us, what's meant for us. So I have the workbook, and I also have the masterclass series, and I'm going to have some other things to help people to really do the work, to implement the steps in it, because as you work through the steps, it really does unlock a lot of things. But I've seen so many people already who have done stuff that they never thought that they would do, or things that they used to love to do when they were younger, and now they're finding their love for it again. And so that's the process, that's the journey. And I still talk about getting unshy for myself, because there are things that I still counted myself out from and said that I couldn't do, or it wasn't for me, that I'm learning to take that chance for myself. So I document it on my social media, like me getting unshy, or some people call it getting unshyer, whatever. It's all these different like variations for it, but that's where it came from.
I mean, that's awesome. I love it. I mean, you said that getting unshy, it helps you with your identity, your vision, how you monetize your creativity, your collaboration, and how you create content. My gosh, just by getting unshy.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's that. So listen, everybody, if you want to really experience getting unshy, now getting unshy is you're not shy. If you feel you're shy, it could be a possibility that you're wounded, right?
Mhm.
Jada, I just want to say if I said it correctly. Okay. But getting unshy helps you to locate your identity, your vision, be able to monetize your creativity, help you with collaboration, and help you to create your authentic content.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is amazing. So Jada has the workbook, and she also has the masterclass. And then, as she said, she's going to be creating some other things to go with it, where it can help you to walk out all the steps in the workbook, that you can actually do them and implement them. Man, listen, people, you need to purchase Jada's workbook. You need to sign up for her masterclass and get on her So I'm going to put her on blast right now. Get on and
Oh boy.
get on her email list. So if she has a newsletter, not sure. I just
Yeah.
said that. Get on her email list, and so you know when her other products are coming out. Getting on Shy workbook and masterclass. Everybody, seriously, everybody needs to get it. If you are in business, it helps with your identity. Again, it helps with your identity, your vision. It helps you to monetize your creativity. It helps you with collaboration, and it helps you to create your content authentically. So,
Yeah.
Jada, how can somebody purchase the workbook?
So they can purchase. I almost said the link is in my bio. This is not my bio. You can go to jadawest.com and you can get it from there.
Okay, perfect. So go to jadawest.com. There, it's on the screen. Okay,
There,
it's on
yeah,
the
there's a
screen.
pop-up. So I'm not just
Yeah.
leading you to an abyss. There's a pop-up and you can go and you can get it.
Okay, perfect. And how much is it?
It
What's the
is
cost?
$37 right now.
Okay, so the workbook is $37, and the masterclass. And what's the cost of the masterclass?
Well, the last master class was free, so we're gonna see what this
Ooh,
next one's gonna be. Yeah.
ooh. And
If you're on
when
my
is when,
email list, I'm giving access to the replay for it. So I'm gonna have that available for a limited time. But yeah, it's also there.
and when do you anticipate having the next masterclass?
It's gonna be mid-March. So there I want to say it's going to be, I don't remember the date because I changed the week, but it's going to be whatever the week is after the 10th. I'm gonna look it up now. I'm gonna be better about this. Hold on. The week of the week of the 17th.
Okay,
Week
so
of the
the
17th.
masterclass is going to be the week of the 17th. So go to jadawest.com and purchase the workbook. Get it right now so you and get on her email list so you can know when the masterclass is going to start, and then you can know about her products and get on Shy. That's
Correct.
it. Get unshy so you can walk in your authentic self for your business. So Jada, I mean, we're almost at the end of the hour. So if my last question to you is share with the viewers one tip. If you could share with them one tip to assist them in building a profitable business authentically, what would that be?
Oh man, just one. Let's see. Uh I would say this. I'm actually going to pose it as a question because I asked this question earlier, and I think that this is the best way that I can give it in one tip is to answer the question, who would you be? How would you show up if you did not have to worry about money? And I say that because I think that, especially with entrepreneurs, with business owners, when we're creating content, we're always thinking sell, 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 sell. And it's so much so that what we put out there loses its personality and we lose ourselves in it, trying to assimilate to what we feel is going to help us to earn the most money. And so if you think about how you would show up freely, if you didn't have any concerns, no worries, just how would you show up? That's going to help you to be authentic and to be yourself. Because when it comes down to it, people are buying into you. They're buying into the person, they're buying into the experience or the stories that you tell. They enjoy you. And that doesn't mean that it takes away anything from what you're selling or its effectiveness, but people have to feel like they're connecting with someone in order to really want to invest. And so that's the question that I would ask you. And whatever the answer is to that question is going to help you to begin to show up genuinely and authentically and still be able to grow your business. But that should be at the forefront of your mind is just, keeping it real, be you. So yeah.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Woo, you shared so much value tonight, Jada. Oh my God, thank you so much. If I know I have your website up on the screen, but I'm also going to put your Instagram here, instagram.com/ it's Jada West. And is there anywhere else the viewers can connect with you? I know you're on TikTok.
Yeah, they can connect with me on there, or YouTube. A lot of the content, because I have a podcast too. I keep forgetting to tell you that, Stacey. But it's
Ooh.
on YouTube. I'm doing video podcasting, so it's really YouTube videos. But I'm tricking myself into calling it a podcast. That's the only way I was going to do it. But it's the audios are also on YouTube. But you can check out my YouTube channel. It has much longer content, and there's a lot of things that are like trainings and teachings that you can listen to as well. So
Woohoo, congratulations in the podcast world.
get it over there.
Congratulations. But Jada, thank you so much. I mean, this was so much value, so much information. You are amazing. Oh, and by the way, guess what? Jada lives in the DMV too. So, she lives here in the DMV just like I am.
Yeah, we got to do something together in person.
Yes. Well, when we get off screen, we'll talk.
Yeah.
But seriously, but thank you so much. You shared so much information. I so appreciate you jumping on, even though there were some technical difficulties. We went through it, and I hope this helped everybody. So I'm going to have you back again when you create the next workbook, the next masterclass, whatever it is, so that you as you continue to grow and build, I will have you here so that other people can know about who Jada West is and what you're doing to help them with their branding. So thank you so much.
Of course, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
It was fun. Anytime. All right. So yes, wasn't that amazing? I know we had a little technical difficulties, but it was, Jada shared so much value tonight. So much. So before I go, I always like to end the podcast with something relating to your administrative world with your business operations, or something, just for something for you to think about, right? And tonight I want to share with you, there are 3 things that every business must have: standard operating procedures, policies and procedures, and digitize and organize back office. If you want to be able to scale your business, and you want to be able to always be able to increase productivity, you need to have these 3 things in your business implemented and executed properly: standard operating procedures, policies and procedures, and digitize and organize back office. If for some reason you need assistance with any one of these 3 or all 3, you can reach out to me by scheduling a call with me, and I would love to sit down and help you and go through what your current business operations look like. And here is the link: calendly.com/your brilliant transitions and /30-minute, and you'll be able to schedule a call with me. So until next time, I'm going to have another amazing guest. Our next podcast episode will be on March 14th, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. I want to tell you, thank you so much for joining me. And for those who are going to join on the replay, please watch, take notes, leave comments, reach out to Jada, reach out to me. I welcome this, and thank you. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.